So this is Tin Can. It launched into Steam Early Access in October 2020. And it's a little bit difficult to define the genre for this game because it isn't quite like anything else I've played in the past, and that's a really good thing. I think that if I had to say, if you're interested in this and you want to know if this is something that you'll enjoy, what I'll say is that if you've watched The Martian or you've read the book, then you would probably like this game as well because it captures the spirit of that story in terms of you have to solve problems to survive. And in this case, you're in this escape pod, and this escape pod that you start with is everything that you have. So you have to manage these systems, repurpose components, repair components in some cases, and basically be creative to keep all the essential systems functioning. So you will initially die quite quickly in this game, but like other games of this type, you'll learn as you go, and the better you get to know the equipment and how everything works, the more likely you're going to be to survive, and the longer you'll keep on surviving. So I guess the biggest difference is if I look at the comparison to The Martian is that in that book, the problem solving is happening over several days, whereas here it happens in minutes. So it is, I wouldn't say it's frantic. It is fast paced, but again, that's also a good thing. It's definitely, the game is, it gives you enough time to deal with problems, but it doesn't give you so much time that it gets boring. So the pacing is done really well. In terms of the game modes that's currently available, there's the normal mode, which is essentially just you floating through space in the escape pod, and certain things are going to happen, such as going through asteroid fields where you have to basically repair damage to the ship and figure out how to keep everything working. There's a hardcore mode, which is the same, just more intense. And there's a sandbox mode where you can sort of just play around and see how everything works without having the stress of all of these different events happening. In terms of the current roadmap, so it does include a rescue mode, or it will include a rescue mode quite soon, and there is going to be an improved sandbox. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more coming. By the time that you watch this video, probably some of these updates would be out already because the developer has committed to monthly updates, and it seems the first one has been released already. So in terms of, we just talk a little bit about pros and cons. First of all, this is very immersive. The game really pulls you in. I think that's probably one of the best things about it. The graphics are also quite good, and it's especially impressive considering that this is a one-person development team. On the controls front, it's easy and intuitive. You'll learn how to play the game within 5 minutes. The controls really aren't complicated, and there's plenty of systems and components in the game already, and there's a manual that teaches you how all of this works. There's enough to make it interesting, but not so much that it's overwhelming. You'll get to learn everything as you go through it. So there's currently a few events that can challenge you, with asteroids hitting you, electrical surges, and events where the temperature falls or rises. And you'll get a small heads up so that you can prepare for these events. But with certain events, such as the asteroid field, you won't know which systems will break, so you'll have to be ready to quickly solve problems on the fly. And again, that's a really good thing. It's part of what makes the game really interesting. There's also this quick reference manual inside the ship. It's basically in the game. So if you have a quick read through this, it'll teach you the basics and you'll know enough to survive. The sandbox mode also allows you to learn how the ship works without having to face the hazards, as I said. So I think in that regard, if I think about all of these components, it is a game that's easy to learn, but quite hard to master in some respects. It's not impossibly difficult, but definitely the challenge is there, and it'll keep you engaged. So all of this contributes to a high replay value, and every run's going to be different because you're going to have different systems breaking and sort of different situations emerging that you're going to have to deal with. On the con side, really, there's not a lot. It is an early access title. It does make that clear. So you shouldn't expect a massive amount of content. But what I will say is that what's there is already really fun and really well polished. I have not encountered a single bug so far. I think some other people have, but I have been playing it quite a bit and I haven't seen anything come up so far. So my recommendation would be definitely wishlist this, but actually it is worth buying at the current price point, and it is worth buying it at the early access stage. And if you think that you're going to enjoy this, you probably will. It's definitely worth hours of gameplay at this point. I would guess between 5 and 10. I have seen players doing more, and there are going to be more content updates. So it's going to be one of those games that you can continue coming back to. So it's definitely worth your time, and you should check it out.